we should talk about.
Yeah, it's, you know, again, the role of the chapter rep is to be that conduit between the state and the chapter.
Right.
So if there's anything the state's up to that the chapter should know about, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay, why don't we just get started and start getting some of the small stuff out of the way so we have plenty of time for the meeting. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up tonight. You know, everybody's been doing a lot of this, so we appreciate you coming, especially you, Jack. So first of all, I'd like everybody to stand up for the flag salute.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody except you, Kirk, because it gets real crazy when we're all saying it and listening to each other.
You can mute me too.
No, I'll let you lead us. You need to unmute yourself though, Kirk. All right, Kirk is muted. There you go. Now you can do it, Kirk. Let me get the flag up here. There we go.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joseph, would you like to continue?
Yes. Let me take the. All right, let's have an invocation. Loving God, thank you that we can gather tonight and learn from each other and find ways to better bless our families and our communities. And we ask that you'd help us do that tonight. Give us understanding of how we can run our businesses better, how we can, well, just be better blessings in our communities. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Joseph, real fast, protocol on Zoom.
Yes. We're all becoming Zoom experts now, if there is such a thing. But just a reminder, stay muted unless you are given permission to speak, given the floor, or if, you know, I think Jack's going to field some questions at some point, and at that time you could unmute yourself. If you have a handheld, you know, an iPad or a phone, and the camera's on and you're going to start walking around, be aware of it. Maybe turn the video off while you're walking around so that we don't all get dizzy. Appreciate that. And if you want, you know, you can also use the chat for questions. I'll try to pay attention to it, but maybe a couple of our other board members could also keep their eyes on the chat. So other than that, that's it.
All right, thank you, Joseph. We're going to do self-introductions. We're going to try to go through this real fast because we're going to keep enough time. So first of all, we have Norm. Hi, Norm.
Hi.
Norm is our CPA. Give a real quick rundown, Norm.
Sure. Norm Blyden, I'm a CPA and business broker. We help businesses with monthly financials. We do payroll, and we also help clients sell businesses and occasionally buy them. Thank you.
Norm is going to be our newest board member. He's going to sit on, and we thank you, Norm, for participating. Next, we have Gene.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see everybody. Gene Morrill, Certified Auto Specialist, a member since 1984. I'm also on the Government Affairs Committee and on your scholarship to ASCCA5 committee as well. So hopefully we get more folks to be involved and join some of these committees. They can be fun, but they're not a lot of, and they're very beneficial to our organization.
Thank you, Gene. We have Ali. You're muted still, Ali.
This is Ali Farisi from Olive Auto Center in Burbank, California.
Thank you, Ali. Randy.
Randy Lewis, world famous Jasper engines and transmissions. I am here and accounted for.
All right, then we have Sean Stevens.
John Stevens, Chapter 16, Berkeley, California, up here. Yeah, decided to join your meeting because we're not having one. Thanks for having us.
Nice having you on board. David Greer.
Yeah, I'm from Baldwin Park, adult ed automotive instructor, and I want to thank you guys for coming to our advisory committee last month. The school and me really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Davey.
Yeah, I'm Davey Bald. I'm the chapter rep chairman, committee chairman, and I'm from chapter 14.
Nice having you. And then Mina from Accurate Auto.
Yeah, I'm Mina Smulders from Accurate Auto Works, and John will be joining us hopefully soon.
Thank you. And Mr. Paul Brow. Paul from All Car Specialists. Okay, he's muted. Can you hear me, Paul? There you go.
Okay. Paul Bro, all car specialist in San Gabriel, and also a teacher at East Los Angeles College.
Nice having you, Paul. Darren.
Hi, everyone. Darren from Gilbert Motor Service in Alhambra, California. It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you. Craig Johnson.
Craig Johnson Automotive. And I have a shop in Roland Heights. I'm also tonight going to give a NASTAF report, and I'm also on some SAE, the vehicle security committees. And I think I'm on government affairs again, too. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me later.
Thank you. John R.
John with Mitchell One. Thanks for having me, guys. And Paul, I've never seen you without a mask, so that was pretty fun.
I'll go get one, John.
John just turned in his application to me tonight to be an associate member in Chapter 5. So we have a board meeting later this week. We'll see if they approve you, John. So watch out how you act tonight.
Well, maybe I should sign off now.
Daniel Costa.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry to blast the radio on a minute ago. But thank you for inviting me and Daniel with Marine Automotive here in Fairfax, and I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you. And Rocky.
First of all, congratulations on your new board member. Norm, it's great to have him on the board on Chapter 5. Also, the gentleman from Chapter 16. There are many, many other ones also, if you can attend those two. And thank you for attending this one. Rocky Comedian from Bimmer and Benz in Costa Mesa. Past everything. Thank you for having me.
Okay, moving on. I'm Kirk from Advanced Muffler Pasadena, and we have Joseph Appler, who's the glue of our chapter. Craig, would you like to give your report?
Yes, thank you. I'm Joseph. Can you put that document up? So I'm a board member of NASTAF, National Automotive Service Task Force. Scott Brown's also a board member. There's about, I think, 10 or 12 board members throughout the country. Just as a background, because there's a couple new faces tonight. NASTAF represents independent auto repair shops. It's a board that has manufacturers, auto parts people, locksmith, independent shops. Everybody that represents automotive is there, new car dealer, used car dealers. And so the goal of NASTAF is to make sure that the independent auto repair facility gets the same information as the manufacturers and or the dealers. And the manufacturer and or the dealers is different sometimes, like such as a Mercedes-Benz. So I've been a board member for a few years, and recently NASTAF did a press release. They're nicknaming this AIR, Assisted Immobilizer Reprogramming Service. And I've talked about this in the past when it was launching. It's officially launched, and basically what it is it's a way for people that have an independent repair shop that don't have vehicle security credentials, that have like a RAP device or a J2534 device through apologize, worked many hours today and I can't remember the name of the our one endorsed vendor. It owns Drew Technologies. They're the only one approved right now. There's 3 companies approved, and they log on the people that have their devices during the day when you're doing programming on devices that need security credentials, not keys or not key replacement or anything to do with that kind of security. But like if you're doing a vehicle security credential, like on a BMW, the column lock or theft related parts with Mercedes, the company will log on if you have their device, and there has to be a certified person at the shop, and you can get pre-certified. The sheet here that Joseph have kind of explains everything, and again, I've talked about this in the past, but now it's launched, and there's been some feedback from industry about this because a lot of us have vehicle security credentials already and do these things. And so I wanted to stop here and ask here, how many people have vehicle security credentials? I can't see the whole. Gene has one. I have one. Sean has one. Davey, do you have VSC credentials?
No, not right now.
Okay, because you're a mobile guy, right?
Right.
Okay, and call me offline because I want to tell you some stuff that's going on with that. But basically, I just wanted to tell everybody that, you know, the program has just been launched, and there's a little backlash right now of people saying, well, wait a second, I got vehicle security credentials. How come anybody can just now not have to get vehicle security credentials and just use one of these services? And the answer is you can't do everything. You still need vehicle security credentials to do immobilizer repairs, lost keys, key replacement, and such. But when you have a car in your shop and you just need to reprogram a door, it takes a vehicle security credential, and you happen to have a wrap device, you know, a J2534 approved box, you know, it's nice to have them log on and do this for you for a small fee and not tie up one of your techs. Gene, I believe, has one of the boxes, and you know, I talked to him and he said, yeah, I'd rather have them take over and just do the reprogramming. So as cars progress in 2018, Ford, Chrysler has a gateway now. You have to be registered to get in. A lot of things now moving forward, you're going to need vehicle security credentials. On Ford, there's a lot of, just when you do a reflash, you need vehicle security credentials. On Ford, if you're going to change just some certain modules, just like Mercedes, now you need vehicle security credentials. And you know, it's getting cumbersome. And so the answer is this program. It's an offshoot of the SDRM, the Secure Data Release Module that NASTAF monitors and produces. And so we're trying to make it easier for independent shops to fix cars. And this has the manufacturer's blessings. Everything we do, NASTAF, we're trying to get more and more of us to do what the manufacturer can do. So does anybody have any questions? Or I hope I didn't sound too confusing. And I want Joseph to send this out to all our members tonight. It was already a press release. Is anybody here using AirPro is one of the device people up in Canada, but I forgot the name down here that owns Drew Technologies. But is anybody using their device right now and taking advantage of this? You will in the future, and that's we're trying to get it ahead of time before you actually need it. So just as a summary, every shop in the future, you all need to belong to NASTAF. It's a free membership, and then you need to have one person in your facility pre-approved. So if all of a sudden you've got a repair going and there's a reflash that needs to be done, and now there's a vehicle security credential that needs to happen, you already have somebody pre-approved. I have vehicle security credentials, and every time I go to use it, it's very rare, I got to go look up my password. I forgot what it was. You know, it's very, you know, I'm a board member and it's cumbersome to use. So this is to help us, the independent shops. So does anybody have any questions on this or anything else vehicle security related with any of my SA committees I'm on?
So Craig, Donnie has also made some videos, YouTube videos regarding this that you can actually log on to and you can learn how to, you know, maneuver around those websites. I know it's cumbersome for me too.
Right, Rocky, what you're referring to, there's a lot of YouTube videos on NASDAQ about how to reflash. So if you have a J2534 device and you want to reflash, Rocky's absolutely correct. You can go on, we have videos on every manufacturer, how to log onto their site, how to get pre-approved. And I'm not aware of any YouTube videos on this new program we have out yet. I'll check into that. But again, you want to do this ahead of time so there's not a bottleneck in your shop when you actually need it.
Nice.
It would be nice if you would look into that and see if you can send the links out so everyone can maybe take a look and see what it.
What are you looking for, Rocky?
If Joseph is going to send out some information, maybe he should have some links to some videos, if it's possible.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Craig. Moving on, we have Gene. Would you like to give your report, Gene?
Yeah, I normally do a government affairs report, but since we have the king on, I'm going to defer to him later on. But I'm also in charge of giving ASCEF, our Educational Foundation report. Scholarships are closed. We have over 40 applicants. I'm one of the scoring people. So right now, a group of us are scoring the application and rating them so we can begin the award process for our young people. And so that's very exciting. More to come on that. I myself and Tim and a couple of other folks try and put together seminars, and we've been trying to get some in-person seminars together, and of course been very challenged. So with the shot, things opening up, I'm encouraged, hopefully in the next 1 to 6 months, I don't know, that we'll be able to go back to our favorite hotel and do all of our seminars in person with Cooper and all the, you know, and BG and all the folks we normally do. So hopefully we'll hit it hot and heavy with technician, service advisor, and owner training once we're able to feel comfortable getting together. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Okay, next we have the chapter reps report. Davey, were you going to get that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that. So basically, just a couple of things. Something we've talked a lot about is the list that was sent out for the new member recruitment contact list. I think each chapter was given a list of 15, 20 names in their geographical area. And I think KP, the company we've hired to help us with marketing, excuse me, tried to vet those shop contacts as best as possible. I think chapter 5 was one of the chapters that had some discrepancies of the names on the list because they were like out of their area. It was just completely impractical to try to contact those shop owners and buddy up with them and try to get them to join. So has anybody gotten back with the state and tried to pare that list down?
I keep being told that they're sending us a revised list that's more in our geographic area, but I've not received that list yet.
Okay. So do you know if there have been any phone calls made, contacts?
Until we get the list.
If not, that's okay.
Yeah. Until we get the list that's relevant to our chapter, there's nothing for us to do.
Okay. So I think they've sent out postcards to each one of these shops on the lists. And I think there's been a follow-up postcard too. So hopefully they've, know who ASCCA and they've seen something. So it's kind of a big ask, just kind of a personal opinion of mine. We as technicians aren't really good with cold calling and doing things like that. But I think it's really important. We should at least try. So when you get the updated list, if you could divvy it up between your board members or maybe some members and see if you can make some contacts, that would be good. And the other thing I want to hit is we have a virtual conference that the state organization, ASCCA, is putting on in the middle of May. And they've just now rolled out some promotional items. And they're asking everybody to just take that promotional item, digital platform, and share it with as many as you can. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes to put this thing on. So it's another virtual conference, training conference. But see if you can look into that and promote it as best you can. We'd really like to see it well attended. And that's about it.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess next is we need to jump into the meeting. Jack, would you like to take over?
Actually, let Gene do some introductions here.
Gene.
Yeah, Kirk, I took the time to write all this down, so
It's not on my list.
Oh. So Jack Molodanof is our ASCCA Association lobbyist, legal advocate, and friend to the automotive industry. Jack searches the over 5,000 bills presented each session and helps all the shops by working with your association's government affairs committee to stop or make less harmful these laws and regulations for our businesses, and it also saves us money in the long run. Jack has helped me personally and with business, so I consider him a friend of mine when I get in trouble or do something I shouldn't or have a question. He's always there with at least direction, if not great advice. So please don't be afraid to ask questions tonight, because he's a lawyer, so he'll do his best to dodge them. But no, he always does a great job. So, and once you get going, Jack, two questions I have is, what is a lobbyist and what can shops do to help you? So here's Jack Molodanof, our association friend.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, good evening, I should say, for having me. So I am, the lawyer and the lobbyist, and one of the questions was from Gene, what's a lobbyist do? We kind of, we schmooze the legislators and try to develop relationships with them. Now, one of the things that I do, of many things, is I've become an expert in the automotive arena. And so I'm your eyes and ears in Sacramento. So I review bills that are introduced, regulations, and I scope out and sort of cull through areas where I think that may be of importance to the association, impact your business directly. As you know, there's a lot of businesses out there or associations like the Cal Chamber that focus on employment issues and all kinds of business issues. But in terms of automotive, there are not that many groups that focus on automotive, and we're one of the big ones that, and so one of the primary areas that I focus on is automotive. And anything automotive related, like I said, regulations, legislation is something in my field where I review. And so anyway, that's what a lobbyist is. We work with legislators, we work with staff, we work with many individuals in the government to try to get the message across and let them understand your business, because they affect your pocketbook when they make decisions. So with that, let me just jump into what I wanted to touch on, because Gene, you had invited me and you said, hey, can you talk about some of the areas, some of the benefits of what we do legislatively? What have we done? How do we save money for some of these shops and how we can play a bigger role. So the association, one of the biggest strengths is the numbers. There's strength in numbers, because if you individually try to do something, make some change, it's very difficult, individual. But as collectively as a group, there is strength in numbers. And some of the things that we've done the past several years, we've been doing this for a while, but a couple of the accomplishments, or several accomplishments I wanted to touch on. I know they're covered in a newsletter, but I wanted to highlight a few. One of the areas that the legislature continues to hammer on is increasing taxes. And one of the areas they're focused on, and they have been focused on, is your automotive repair labor, your service. They want to tax that and extend the sales tax to services. And we've been fighting that for years, since the Arnold Schwarzenegger administration. And that bill keeps on popping up. It hasn't popped up in the last couple of years, but every time it pops up, we're right there, and we're always killing it. So it hasn't gone anywhere. But that's one of the areas where collectively, again, there's strength in numbers. They picked on the automotive industry originally because it was easy. You already collect the sales tax on parts, and they said, hey, what's the big deal? Just start, charging the sales tax on labor. Well, of course, that would have increased costs, and you had to pass them to the consumer, and would have affected your business. So that was one area where we have and we continue to be really strong on and stopping that bill. The other bill, which I think was one of the worst bills that I've seen in the last decade, was a bill. It was AB 2825. And that bill would have treated all auto repair dealers as debt collectors. So you hear that and you think, what are you talking about, Jack? Well, that bill, the assembly member wanted to expand the debt collection laws to automotive repair shops, because after you repair a vehicle, you technically have a lien. And so when you contact your consumer, you're collecting money. So they thought, well, you guys are debt collectors. Well, and this bill would have expanded that, all the laws and all the regulations that apply to debt collectors. The traditional debt collectors, they harass you, they do all kinds of things, they call in the middle of the night. That's what you would have been, the shops would have been debt collectors. In any event, we opposed the bill. And what was really very helpful, and it was Gene and Craig Johnson. I know, you spoke earlier, and I think your chapter, some of the members that went and met with Senator Portantino, your local senator there. I think you got him some donuts, you met with them, you explained the bill. He was very powerful, a member of the Appropriations Committee. We ended up killing the bill in his committee. And so that was something you guys, this chapter directly was involved in, and congratulations, and you guys did a hell of a job on that. Gene and Craig and whoever else attended that meeting was so important. And these relationships, I joked around about what a lobbyist does, and these relationships are really important. So one of the benefits, I know that you're always recruiting members, is that you have relationships, or you try to develop relationships with your local legislators, because not only do they make decisions on your livelihood, but they make decisions on other things, school boards and all kinds of things. So that's really important. One of the benefits that the association does push is this, working with your local legislators. And that was one example, one accomplishment I wanted to highlight. Gene and Craig, you guys did a great job on that. A couple of other bills that were of concern, and we ended up opposing and defeating, which was the tire tax increase. That was AB 755. That would have increased the tire tax, which is currently $1.75 per tire, would have increased it to $3.25, which was, an extra $1.50 for a tire. Again, increasing the cost, passing on to the consumer. And times are tough and people can't afford to buy tires. And then this is going to be an additional cost. And they wanted to raise the money for Cal Recycling, which has a surplus of money. They didn't even need the money. It was just crazy. Anyway, collectively as a group, we work with other organizations as well. There's other organizations out there that we all collectively work together. We were able to defeat that bill. We've helped support bills too, or legislation. We worked with the Bureau of Automotive Repair to bring us into the 21st century with electronic signatures. Before this, you had to get a wet signature. We were able to work with them, pass the regulations. We were instrumental in working with the language. We were able to get that passed. And what that really meant, it really helped out during COVID, because a lot of, I got those calls. Customers didn't want to touch the pen or sign anything. Well, you were able to, get authorization electronically and get their signatures electronically. In fact, in theory, a car can come in. They don't even need, you can do everything via text or email. They don't even have to sign anything after these regulations pass. So that was a big deal. I know that saved people money and really calmed some fears, especially during the pandemic. Another bill that we worked on and we'll continue to work on, I'll touch on that after, it was AB 2454. That was the bill that Assemblyman Lowe carried last year. He wanted to do a grading system with the automotive repair industry, just like the restaurants. And, we were concerned about that. We met with Assemblyman Lowe. In fact, Dave Kuza, who's the government chair, the chair of governmental relations, that's his assembly member. We met with them. We told them, hey, this is not going to work here. That, the restaurant industry and the automotive industry, you're comparing apples and oranges. They're just two completely different industries. The restaurant industry has a specific, objective standards. You measure the temperature of the water, the hot water, that measure the temperature of the refrigerator. You don't have those kinds of things in the automotive arena, in the industry. And we already have a grading system. It's called Yelp and Google. We don't need a government, a system like this. Anyway, he heard us loud and clear, and he's worked with us. And I'll talk about the bill that he's introduced this year that we're supporting, by the way. Anyway, all of you know, we maintain a seat on the BR Advisory Committee, and we have input. Dave Kuza, who's the governmental chair, sits on that. Prior, it was Craig Johnson. So it's an opportunity to give input to the BAR. That BAR regulates your industry, and so anyway, those are the kinds of accomplishments, things we've done, and I think they're important for you to have an idea of some of these accomplishments. So when you're talking to new members, you can say, hey, these are the kinds of things that the industry or the association has done to help you, because really everything we do helps everyone, even if they're not a member. They're getting the benefit, right? They're really getting the benefit of all this, and they need to contribute, help out, become a member, get involved, and so that's important. In any event, those are some of the accomplishments. I wanted to touch on those to remind everyone. I know, like I said, many of you were involved in these pieces of legislation and regulation, but it's always nice to kind of have a refresher, because Joseph, when you mentioned, hey, what have we done lately? What are the accomplishments? And, you have to really go back and think, because, you forget. But we've done quite a bit, and that's just in the last several years. And then there's a lot more in the past history, but I just want to cover the things that were most recent. In terms of legislation this year, 2,300 new bills were introduced this year alone. Someone's got to review those bills. That's another thing that I do as a lobbyist, is I review all these bills. Some of them are very long, and I have to cull them out. So you figure out, okay, which ones apply, which ones you think we're going to be interested in. That's one of the things we do. It's the funnel approach. You start narrowing these bills, because realistically, you can't focus on all these bills. And a lot of them impact small businesses, but we can't focus on all of them. We focus on the ones that directly impact the automotive repair industry, and bills that affect employment, affect employer-employee relationships. We do get involved, but we let the chamber take the lead on those, and we sort of piggyback on those. But the other bills that affect the automotive repair industry, we take the lead. We are the experts in that area, and we're expected to at least provide information and guidance to the legislators and tell them, hey, this is a good idea or this is a bad idea. So one of the top bills this year, as you know, and I mentioned, is Assemblyman's Lowe bill. It's AB 471. And again, we've been working with him for the last year and a half. We told him we couldn't, we had concerns about his prior bill, get off this grading system, work with us, and he did. And he actually held back on his bill last year, and he worked with the BAR. He came to the BAR advisory committee, he spoke, and the BAR worked on an alternative. And the alternative was this auto shop locator program, as you probably are aware of now. They introduced this, BAR did, because of Low. And they said, hey, this is an alternative. We want to help consumers out there. It's a mobile-friendly app or a mobile-friendly. You can get on the website and you put in your put in a zip code, and the consumer can find your shop. And so they're still working out some of the kinks, but that's what the program primarily is. We thought, that's a good idea. Because what's on the website is public anyway. If someone has disciplinary issues, they'll pop up. But the only thing they can find is disciplinary issues. We thought, hey, why don't you expand this a little bit? Many of our members and many of the industry, they have credentials, they have training and certification. For example, you've tested with the ASE, or some of you master techs, or in the auto body, it's ICAR. Why can't BR collect that information and post it? You spend a lot of money on training and certification. You should be able to brag about it. Let the BR advertise that for you. So that's in the bill. That's one of the things in the bill, and we're very supportive of that, and we're very happy that Low's going to do that. Low also has in there. So he did away with the grading system, and now he's enhancing, what we say is enhancing the auto repair locator program. Also in the bill, it's a multifaceted bill. There's a lot of things in it. It's a big bill, it covers a lot of areas, but a couple of the other things I just want to highlight is that it also will allow, if the BR goes through and they're moving forward with a citation program. If someone gets a citation, they can appeal it. They would be able to appeal it. Currently, when you appeal a citation, guess what? You appeal it in front of another BR representative. Man, that doesn't make any sense. I think that's unfair. It's a conflict, right? It's like getting a ticket from a policeman, and you want to appeal it. You think, hey, I don't think I ran the red light. And you appeal in front of another policeman. That doesn't make sense. So this bill will allow for an independent board, which will be comprised of a repair facility, or a representative from the repair industry, a consumer advocate, and someone from BAR. So the idea is to be independent. Also, if you end up getting a citation, this bill will allow you to go to traffic school, remedial training, and take it off your record. It's not going to be on the website. We like that. We think that, hey, that would make sense. So those are some good things in the bill. Also, the bill will provide that it will combine the current brake and lamp program and call it the vehicle safety inspection program, and give BAR authority to expand on what can be inspected, primarily for revived salvage vehicles, because currently you just need a smog, brake and lamp, and the CHP does an inspection just to make sure that there's no stolen parts. But this will give BAR the authority to expand and maybe have the inspection include visual, like cracked glass. If it's got cracked windshield, it may not pass inspection, or if there are no seat belts, or if the airbag light is on. So anyway, those are the kinds of things. So it has those things. It also tries to streamline some of the current disciplinary the process, because someone gets in trouble now, it could take 3 years for you to clear your good name. Well, that's too long. That's ridiculous. I know shops saying, hey, I got it, had some issues, but why does it take 3 years? I want to get this thing cleared up. So this will allow the BAR to hire in-house counsel instead of the Attorney General to speed up things. Administrative judges would be pre-assigned to BAR. So the idea is to streamline while maintaining due process rights for the shops. So it's a big bill. I took a lot of time on that, but I wanted to highlight that. You're going to see a lot of it, a lot about it, and we're hoping that's going to pass this year. That's AB 471. The other bill that we were really concerned about, and we were opposed to unless it's amended, is AB 294. That's the bill that dealing with towing and storage. So we probably heard more about it early, but the bill does not look like it's going to be moving. So it may be what they call a 2-year bill. It may not come back, probably come back next year, but it does two things that we don't like. Number one, currently, if you have a car that's a customer hasn't picked up, you can charge storage, and you can charge reasonable storage. What's that mean? Well, reasonable is defined as what your local area charges, the other shops charge. So if you're in a high rent district, you're probably going to charge a little bit more than someone that's, in the low rent district. You're parking, you don't have much parking, maybe you park inside. So that's how it's determined. That's what's reasonable. You have, higher, not only rent, but the property values are higher, so you're going to charge more. Well, what this bill does, and the insurance companies are pushing it, they want to cap your storage rates. They want to say, you know what, you can't charge more than what the CHP charges the towing companies. I'm like, well, wait a minute here. Those guys, got discounted rates. They take these cars to, some dirt lots or with a fence, and, they got low overhead, and it's a low rent district, and those prices are low. We don't have anything to do with them. This is unfair. You shouldn't cap our prices based on some unrelated CHP rates that we have nothing to do with. So we're opposed to that. And the second thing it does is that it creates this new towing and storage board to oversee towing companies. And it's so broad, it will capture shops that charge storage. So if you want to do a lien sale and you want to charge for your repairs and storage, then you may get caught up. You may have to get a registration and licensing and go through the process of being part of this board. And we think that's crazy. You guys are already regulated by the BAR. You don't need another regulatory board. So we've asked to be exempted from this bill. So that's AB 294. It's another big bill. Those are kind of the two major ones that directly impact the industry that we're following. One we're supporting and one we're opposing. We're also following, I mentioned the employment bills. There are many of them out there. There are a lot, but I'm going to cover just three real quick. They're all, by the way, the chamber has declared them job killers. Number one is AB 95, which would provide employment bereavement leave to 10 days for your employees. They can leave if someone's family member passes away without pay. So you don't have to pay them for 10 days, up to 10 days. But for a small business, you lose an employee that's like 2 weeks. That could be tough. So we're concerned about that. There's a bill, AB 995, to extend paid sick leave from the current 3 days, which is to 5 days. It was 10, they reduced it down to 5, but that's an extension of 5 days. We're concerned about that. And then finally, AB 1003. This bill makes it a crime for failure if you make a mistake in paying wages rather than civil penalties. That's crazy. To go to jail? Because you messed up and made a mistake on a payroll. That's what they're talking about here. That bill is, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. That's just crazy. They're letting people out of jail. Now they're going to throw you in because you made a mistake. Consider it a crime, and they want to extend it and make you guys or all employers out there that failed to pay wages or make a mistake of some kind to have criminal penalties. So any event, we're concerned about those bills. They're on the Cal Chamber's job killer list, and we're monitoring them very closely. There's another set of bills, what I call the COVID-19 bills, which try to provide some relief to small businesses. These bills, there's one, AB 62, income tax credits for cost to comply with COVID-19. So if you've done all the things you're supposed to, you should get some tax credits. That bill is there. We're supportive of that. A couple of other bills, AB 247 and AB 1313. These are COVID-19 immunity from civil liability bills. So if someone comes and says, hey, I caught COVID and I was out of work and I'm going to sue you now because I caught it at your business. Well, this bill basically says if you've complied with all the COVID protocols, you can't get sued. So we think that's a good bill. AB 80, deductibility of expenses paid with when you're forgiven a PPP loan. So there's been some issue about if you got a PPP loan forgiven, can you still deduct some of the expenses that you paid, like for payroll and so forth? And the the feds have said yes. The state is still not, it's not clear. So some of you may have already had to file if you've got a LLC or a small subchapter S corp extension until they figure this thing out. But anyway, we're tracking that as well. And the other thing we're monitoring closely are regulations, and there are two sets. One, BAR. Again, we spend a lot of time dealing with BAR because they're the ones that have, oversight over the automotive repair industry. Sometimes they can get very aggressive in their enforcement. Other times they're very fair. We work with them, as you know. We may not always agree with them, but they do listen to us. And that's our role as advocates. We work with them. We bring up issues to them, let them know what's going on, and see if we can fix. One of the areas they're looking at is this citation and fines. I touched on them. They currently have cite and fine authority over smog check stations. They have cite and fine authority over unlicensed activity, but they don't have cite and fine authority over sort of the rest of the automotive industry. And they're looking to do that, create a citation and fine program for the automotive repair industry. And we're concerned. We're concerned about this because the last thing you want is, we like education. If you make a mistake, educate us. Don't fine us. We think that's fair, especially if you've never had a problem before. And yeah, you've got some paperwork mistakes here. Educate us. Do a Write It Right program, or don't fine us. So we're pushing to make sure that any kind of citation and fine program they do is very narrow in scope, so they don't have a lot of discretion. It's very clear. If they're going to do it, we want to make sure that it's fair and reasonable. For example, you're supposed to keep your documents for at least 3 years. I recommend 4 years because of statute of limitations, and consumer may come back after 4 years. But in any event, you're supposed to keep your records, all your records, your invoices, your estimates, all the paperwork for 3 years. If the BAR comes in and asks for some records, you need to provide them. If it's a reasonable time during the day and they ask you to make a request, you need to provide them those records. If you refuse, the only thing they can do right now is go to court and take you there and so forth. Well, one of the things they said is, hey, why don't we just do a cite and fine program? We'll just fine them, and they'll comply then. So that's one, that's an area which, makes sense, and we can, live with. But there's some other areas we may have some more concerns with. So anyway, we're working with them closely on this. They're going to have a workshop next month, April 22nd, right after the BAG meeting. We will participate. Obviously, we'll raise our concerns, and we're going to make sure that whatever they do, they're going to hear us, and we're going to raise concerns to make sure that that any language they're drafting is fair and reasonable to the industry. And then the last thing I want to touch on, and I'll take some questions, but we are monitoring California Energy Commission. They are in the process. We don't do too much with the California Energy Commission, but we are here because they're dealing with tires, which is interesting. They are collecting information, and they're going to do regulations on tire efficiency to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So one of the things they're looking at is lowering this rolling resistance. So when there's less tread, you get better gas mileage or less greenhouse gases. With more tread, you get more greenhouse gases. So if you think about it, it's like if you have a bald tire, that's probably the best for the environment, but it's the worst for consumer safety. So this is with the what they call lower rolling resistance. So they had a hearing on this or workshop we participated in. The tire manufacturers really took the lead, and they said, this is safety issue. It's going to be what you're asking us to do here potentially could create a California tire compliant tire. So the tire manufacturer would have to create a special tire for California if these kind of regulations go through. We're obviously concerned about this. This would be crazy, would increase the cost of tires, plus would increase the tire waste out there because you'd have to get tires more often. I guess it's an issue that we're monitoring very closely. We think it doesn't make any sense, but we'll work with the tire manufacturers and other groups to make sure whatever they do is not crazy. many of these laws you finally see and think, how the hell, did they pass that? Well, you should have seen it when it was originally introduced. It was much worse. So a lot of times these bills get softened up, sometimes not, or amended. Sometimes they get amended to a point where, they make some sense, but other times they don't get amended enough. But in any event, that's the California Energy Commission is another area we're following. So that's kind of an overview of the accomplishments, kind of things we're following. I know I covered a lot of territory very quickly, but I wanted to touch on a lot of things here. So you at least have some ideas of what we're doing. So when you're meeting with new members, or someone mentioned cold calling, or who you're talking about getting someone involved, you can let them know, here's a few things we're involved in. This is what the associate wants to get involved in. Sometimes members, they're afraid of politics. They don't want to get involved. They don't know, they don't understand. But, this is an opportunity for them to get involved with Government Relations Committee, understand how, government works. Some people are very, interested in that area. I know Gene is very, you're very active locally and state. Some people have a passion for politics. Others don't care for it. But appreciate all your work, Gene, Craig, over the years, and others who've done a lot of work, a lot of volunteer time, and continue to do so. I know with NASTAF with Craig, you do a great job. You're a great representative on NASTAF, and you've done a lot of work over the years. So thank you for all your help there, because I can't do it alone. I know I thank you for the compliments, but we're really a grassroots organization. We don't have political action money where we pay people, give contributions. So our strength is really grassroots, and in the relationships and those locals. You are the strength. These chapters are the strength. Your relationships locally are the strength of this association. Without them, it would be very difficult. I wouldn't be very effective. I'm as effective as the members are. If members are not effective, I'm not going to be very effective. So anyway, with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm open to questions. And I know Rocky right away. You've always got a question, Rocky.
Well, let me before that, Wendy had typed a question in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She beat you to it, Rocky. Wendy, you want to go ahead and ask your question? Hello, Wendy.
Hey, I'm just trying to get dinner on the table. Is there a certain timeline that we need to watch these bills where they're a little bit more like it'd be easier to blow them out of the water, or do we because some of them are long. There's like 2 years. But before they get to committee, is there certain levels basically that we can start sounding alarms, making calls, and getting kind of people motivated in that way it doesn't even make it to certain committees? Is there like a danger zone basically after it goes past a certain level?
Yeah, with legislation, we like to start early. Like AB 294, we've prepared Government Relations Committee, where I prepared it for the Government Relations Committee. We prepared a member alert to let them know we need to oppose this bill. We had it all ready to go, but we heard that it's going to be a 2-year bill. We didn't want to, have our members call and say, hey, this is a bad bill. And they'd say, well, the bill's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And we want to discourage people. So you got to get to these bills early. In terms of danger zone, I mean, anything can happen during the year. Things can pop up in the middle of the night, at the last night of session. So you always have to be alert, because sometimes you think you killed the bill and you're really happy and we got it done. But bills never die. They always have a way to come back and creep back up. So we're always monitoring all the way through. But it's always good. Your question, Wendy, is that the earlier the better. If you can, raise the alarms early, you get the momentum going, and you're able to, put pressure on the assembly member or the senator, saying, you know what, maybe I don't want to do this now. Yeah, so earlier the better. I agree, and that's why we try to get to these bills very early, regulations early, and then you have an opportunity to really shape them too. Not only just kill them, but maybe amend them. Sometimes you can amend a bill and say, you know what, your idea is good, but the way you're going about it is wrong. And and we've done that with Loke. He was kind of a foe. Now he's a friend, you know, and so we can do that. So we've, you know, we try to get him early. Thank you for the question. Yeah, thank you for the question.
All right, Rocky.
Yes, I just thank you, Joseph. I just had a comment. It's ironic that they're asking on the high efficient tires, and if they fail to fix the roads properly, if they fix the roads properly, we wouldn't have this issue where those tires would not tear up the way they do. So therefore, we wouldn't be using too many tires. But the lobbyists on road constructions are such strong lobbyists that I think that they're not able to overcome them. That's why they're coming after.
Thank you for the comments, Rocky. I hope you're enjoying your beer there.
Any other questions or thoughts or comments or concerns? Gene?
We might even need to recommend that they use the surplus money to do that road fixing.
Yeah, right. So along Wendy's comment, you know, we advocate in our chapter, and of course it would be out throughout the state, is tonight or tomorrow morning, find out who your assembly person is and who your senator is, and get on their mailing list and know their email, their phone number. If they have a local office, you will very rarely deal with the assembly member or the senator personally. You'll deal with a staff member. And I have got to be very good friends with the staffers. So when I request a meeting with the senator, they know who I am, and I'm more likely to get that meeting with the senator or the assembly member. And when we, like Jack says, things change so quickly, we're very good at sending out alerts, say, hey, we need a letter, say we oppose this. If we had every member in our chapter to send an email, make a phone call, they know that members in our chapter are active, and they know who we are because I let Assemblyman Portantino is most of our state senator in our chapter. And very, you know, whether we like him or not is not, but he'll listen to us. So having that strength by having 5, 10, 20, 100 members of our chapter call him up and say, hey, we don't like this, is super powerful versus me saying, hey, Marco, tell Anthony, you know, we don't like this bill. You know, it's not the same as having a bunch of people. So I know you're all busy. I know it's really tough to stay on top of everything, and we're not asking you to do that, but we're asking you to be the sounding board that when we say, hey, this is important, for you to push the button, send the email, make the phone call, and it's that simple. And you're just making such a difference in Jack's life so much easier by doing this. Now, I'm fortunate our chamber has a very active government affairs committee, so I get to meet with Marco and Dominic. They're the two staffers for my assembly person and senator, and I talk with them every month. So I've got a really good relationship with them. So if you do have a government affairs committee in your city, I suggest joining and sitting in the Zoom meetings or going to the regular meetings. And it's just really powerful what you learn, like Jack says, not only from the automotive, but I don't know, now they passed a law that you need to have a food waste and yard waste recycling bin for a business if you have a 3-yard dumpster. That's a bill that just passed. That's going to be starting January 2021. So at your business now, you've got to separate food and garden waste from your regular waste. It's just, and it goes on and on and on. So if you would do that for yourself and your chapter and for Jack, that would be very helpful. And as always, contact me if you have any questions, contact Jack. We're very, appreciative of anything you guys will do for us.
Thanks, Gene. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's an easy one to, check who your member is, your legislative member. senator and assembly member and sign up and get their, their newsletter. They have, many of them have newsletters they send out and get on their mailing list. And then you have an idea who they are. A lot of folks don't know who their legislators are at the Capitol, and they make decisions that affect your pocketbook. And sometimes you get involved with, the local city council members or the county board of supervisors, and they move up, and so you start developing these relationships. It's something that I know people either have the passion or don't want to get involved because they're intimidated. But if they go with someone like Eugene or some other like Craig or and attend some of these meetings, then they see they're not that they're not that bad. They're people like us, and it's a great experience. I know, unfortunately, we haven't been able to do Legislative Day because of the pandemic last year, and we're not going to end up doing it this year because there's so many unknowns. But locally, and I know you can have a chapter meeting and invite your local, assembly member or even, the state, and have them come and talk to you. I know in Northern California, they've done it, and sometimes, Southern California, that's an opportunity just to get to know them. Again, it doesn't have to all be automotive. You can be talking about, other issues, but you develop relationships. So when something comes up and you need them, they'll listen to you then. They know who you are, instead of just calling them when you need them all the time. So that's good advice, Gene. Thanks for that.
And it's also fun because a lot of the assembly people are car guys. And so they love hanging around car guys and hearing stories, or they have cars. And so it's really a good relationship builder in the industry we're in.
Yeah. Thanks, Gene.
Following what Gene said, just remember, in the end of the day, who works for who, right? I mean, those legislators and senators and assemblymen, they work for you, and they're your employees up there. So you wouldn't want to leave them alone. Thank you.
Yeah. Wendy asked another question, wondering if there's a way to do a virtual leg day, like 4 hours with reps in breakout rooms and have people drop in. I don't know if that's been considered by our state office.
We've talked about some, ideas. I think, it's just challenging, with doing a virtual thing. It would be just like a Zoom call right now, basically. And one of the things we had talked about is trying to encourage the local chapters to invite either the local member, the legislator, the senator to, some of these smaller type meetings, right? They're easy for them to develop, because again, all politics are local, in my opinion. That's where it starts. You have to develop that relationship. I think that's much more effective. And so one of the things you can consider in the future is having, and maybe if the member can't make it or whatever, maybe the staffer can attend as well. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, you like the member there, and schedule it far in advance where they can, come in and say a few things. You can ask them questions, and they'll remember. Again, honestly, it's not as effective as the one-on-one kind of, relationship building, in my opinion. I mean, these Zoom calls are, the next best thing, but it's just challenging doing, these virtual legislative days. I mean, part of the legislative days come to the Capitol and kind of see how government works, and that's the experience you get. Sitting in front of a Zoom, it's tough. It's not as effective. I hate to say that, but it's just not as effective.
Well, we had Senator Portantino attend our Chapter 5 meeting before he was elected to senator. So that was a very, very good meeting. So he knows who we are. And it's very enlightening. Like Jack said at the beginning, only 2,300 bills were introduced. Next year, another 2,300 or more will be introduced. The senators and the members do not have a clue what these bills are unless it's their pet project. So it's up to us as individuals to educate them on why it's important and why we need to either support it or deny it. And that's how we got that one bill killed when we went to go see Senator Portantino. He didn't know anything about it until he talked to us, and he goes, wow, you're right, that makes sense. And they killed the bill in his committee. And that was like really kind of a fun way to see how the law, or the legislation works.
And you don't have to, and you mentioned Portantino before he became senator, he was running for office. There may be other electeds that may, you know, they want to get in front of groups like this. You know, they're running for city council or county board of supervisors. Again, they're up and comers. They may, you know, you want to develop the relationships. I know Senator Dave, or at least he was a city council member, Dave Jones here in Sacramento. I knew him for years. He was a city council member, became assembly member, and then finally became the insurance commissioner. You know, it was nice to have the insurance commissioner. You just knew him all these years, and you know, you sort of grow with them, and they know you've been around, and they'll listen to you. They respect you. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be. You know, if you can't get your senator or assembly member, maybe the next best thing is your local council member or county board of supervisor, or some, you know, who's making some decisions that, again, affecting your pocketbook.
Yeah, Bob Huff Huff was another person that, you know, was really instrumental, that we knew him when he was younger, and he came up to be a really powerful.
We did that in Pasadena. The Pasadena City Council was going to change the zoning along the Walnut Street, you know, along the metro corridor. And they were going to start eliminating auto repair businesses. And we were able to have several meetings with city people, and they ended up changing it. And they didn't make the decision they were going to. So yeah, it works. You just have to be aware of what's going on, and be aware of what's pending, and know who to talk to.
The squeaky wheel gets greased. I mean, you gotta let them know, because otherwise they don't know. And it's surprising how many individuals, members, elected officials that make these decisions have no clue about your business. They have no clue. They don't know. I mean, they just never been involved. All they know is maybe they've taken their car in, and you know, and they have the car repaired. They really don't know how you operate. They don't know all the nuances. And that's part of an obligation on us to try to educate. That's a big role. You mentioned, Gene, what's a lobbyist do is educate, try to let them know, hey, this is how it works. It's always nice, you know, they hear from a lobbyist and like, okay, but it makes a difference if they hear from a constituent. It makes a big difference. You know, it's like, wait a minute, here's a business in my backyard. They're employing people and so forth. And I think that carries more weight. And so that's why I think it's really important and imperative that the chapters, you know, get involved. And it's not heavy lifting. I mean, you can develop relationships with people and be able to, you know, educate people, and they happen to be elected officials that are making decisions.
The last thing I'll say is, if we don't get in their ear and we stay quiet, the other side will definitely be in their ear and steer them to their side. So we have to always make sure that we are represented on anything, whether we win or lose, just so, you know, we, you know, people know who we are in the automotive industry. So.
Thanks, Gene.
All right. Well, Jack, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And again, you know, I think all of you have my phone number. It's on the website, or if you have issues and I know any kind of questions you have, not only about legislation, but like Gene started off there, you know, if you have any kind of legal issues, like you can vet out and talk about and kind of give you direction, or maybe be able to resolve. I'm there for the association. Some of you may or may not know, I grew up in the automotive industry. My folks had a shop in the San Jose area, so it was combination mechanical and auto body, and a little used car lot. And I remember when I was younger, I used to, you know, paint cars and lacquer and enamel and changing oil. I remember my dad. I remember changing the oil. What am I going to do with this oil? Just go dump it in the backyard, kill the weeds. We can't do that anymore. Oh, those were the days. Anyway, so I have a real passion for the industry, and I love what I do. But thank you all for having me, and have a good evening.
Well, thank you again.
Okay, thanks guys. Okay.
All right, Kirk. Back to you, Kirk.
Thanks. Okay, bye-bye.
But I don't have anything else to say. Okay, how about